Welcome back. You know what, everyone? Every day is an exciting day at Midco SN, but today is just a little more special. It's time for everyone's favorite sports debate here on Midco SN Head2Head, brought to you by Grand Falls Casino and Golf Resort. But not only that, it's Championship Friday, so a quick rundown of the rules in case you've missed them all season. We put two Midco personalities against each other. I ask up to 5 questions. They each have 30 seconds to prove their point. For the semifinals and up, we've had a jury to decide who proved their point best by voting, determining the winner of each question, and the first person to win 3 debates today is the champ of all champs. But first, we're gonna meet the jury. So right here in Sioux Falls, Mr. Levi Vanderwhite, aka Intern of the Year, and Mr. Max Jensen, Jack of all trades, Midco SN Guy of the Year, both looking dapper. And up in Grand Forks, the judge of all judges, Mr. Alex Heinert. Hello, Alex.
I want a good, clean debate today. All right?
My goodness.
Good, clean debate.
Oh, that's official. All right, and going head-to-head today for all the marbles, take a look at this bracket. We have Shawn in West Fargo, and here's a result of a 4-over-1 upset on Tuesday. Mr. J. Elsen here in Sioux Falls. So it's getting real. It is Championship Friday, and we are ready to go. So we did a coin flip. Shawn got to call it. He's the higher seed, and he won. So he has elected to go first. Are you guys ready?
As ready as I'm going to be.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, we're diving right in with the tough question. Should college athletes be paid? Shawn.
Absolutely, they should be paid. They should have been paid for a while. And I don't like the term pay to play. I think it's the wrong term to use. I would like to say a stipend in addition to a scholarship. It's not like these kids are getting rich. We're talking about $3,000 to $5,000 of money annually, or $300 to $350 a month. They're not getting rich. It just helps the athlete pay for some of the basic expenses that the athletic scholarship does not cover. So that's why I think it makes sense. The amount of time that is put in by these student athletes, not just during season, but year-round in their weight room. It's not like some still don't have jobs. It just helps subsidize what is a very expensive cost of living.
All right, Jay.
Yeah, look, the NCAA tournament generated around $900 million in revenue last year. The current TV deal for CBS and Turner runs through 2032. That's worth nearly $20 billion. You've got ticket sales, jersey sales, et cetera, et cetera. The list of how these schools make money off of these kids goes on and on. I like the scholarship, cost of attendance, as kind of Brian was describing there. That all should be part of the compensation, but it should not be all of it. I agree. There should be some sort of stipend on top of that, rewarding those guys for bringing all these people and all these finances into the universities.
All right. To the jury we go. Levi Vanderwhite, what do you think?
Man, you guys kind of both had the same answers. So I think I'm going to have to go with Brian then. He won the coin flip. I think that helped him.
Okay. Max.
I'll go with Jay.
Oh, that looks like Brian to me. That's Brian's head you're holding up.
Oh, you have one job.
You both said the same thing. I pick you both. Great job.
Max.
I pick Jay.
Okay, and up to Judge Alex in Grand Forks.
Get your heads figured out right now, Max Jensen. Again, good arguments. Jay Elsen, bringing the numbers, bringing the heat.
Ooh,
Elsen gets the point.
All right, Jay Elsen up 1-0. Oh my goodness. Question number 2. Who is the biggest bust in sports history, Jay?
Oh man, there's so many good ones here. I'm going to go with Ryan Leaf. Look, he was drafted number 2 overall by the Chargers in 1998. We all remember Peyton Manning went number 1. And there was some real debate going into the draft on which guy the Colts were going to take and which guy the Chargers were going to have to settle for. But the Chargers get Leaf. He plays just 3 seasons, 4-17 career record between them and the Cowboys. Career numbers of 48% completions, 14 touchdowns, 36 interceptions. He was also sacked 65 times. It was a disaster from the word go.
All right, Shawn.
You know, I'm going to go with Jamarcus Russell because he was the #1 overall pick coming out of LSU. So much hype, so much talent. And he didn't even really try physically. He could not handle it, got in a lot of trouble off the field, and he was just not a leader. He was not prepared for the lifestyle. You could talk about Ryan Leaf, and the reason I would argue against Ryan Leaf is I had a chance to interview him last month, and he was really suffering from some mental health issues, and he got help for those issues. He went to jail, the best thing that happened to him, and he has turned his life around and is using his story to help other people facing those issues. So I don't consider Ryan Leaf a bust. I consider Ryan Leaf a success story.
I think he's a success story now, but at the time, whether or not there's issues, that doesn't go into whether or not he was a bust. There was hype there, and people were legitimately comparing him to Peyton Manning. Look what Peyton became. Ryan never did that. And I agree, that's great that he's turned his life around, but in terms of just on the field, who's a bust, he's the biggest.
There was hype of people that didn't know what was going on in Ryan Leaf's life, and that's what we've been able to find out through other words. I would say Jamarcus Russell, because all the talent. He didn't want to play football. He did not want to play football at all, and he made it show in his 3 seasons that he played in Oakland as the #1 overall pick.
All right, jury time. Max Jensen, what do you think?
Although it is a good success story now, I think I got to go with Jay and Ryan Leaf. Definitely on the field performance makes him the biggest bust.
Levi.
I got to go with, I was talking to Max before this actually started about my answer, and I said Jamarcus Russell was the biggest bust. So I'm going to go with Brian. And also Jay said 65 sacks on Ryan Leaf. That kind of says it's not really all his fault that he was a bust.
Holding the ball too long. Holding the ball too long.
But I'm going to go with Brian and Jamarcus Russell.
Oh, man. Tiebreaker, Alex.
I'm going to go with Shawn here. I think the fact that Russell was the #1 pick, like you said, versus #2, even though Leaf was compared to a future Hall of Famer in Peyton Manning, Russell only played 3 seasons and was awful at football. Shawn gets the point.
Okay, official. You guys, we are all tied up 1-1. My palms are sweating. All right.
Your palms.
Question number 3. How should the MLB handle PED users when it comes to the Hall of Fame? Shawn.
Well, I personally would not vote any of them into the Hall of Fame, but I am also a believer in democracy, just like we have with our jury here. And I think it's up to the sports writers every year. I think they should be left on the ballots. If they vote them in, they're in. There's no asterisks involved because they know the conditions of what they're voting on. But to me, that's what the Hall of Fame is. That's why Pete Rose's situation is so unique. That's why some other players' situations are so unique. That's who votes on it. That's who should be allowed to vote on it. If they get in, no asterisks. If not, it's up to them. That's what I believe.
Okay, Jay.
All right, look, the Hall of Fame's about history, and like it or not, PEDs are a part of that history. During the steroid era, PED use was so rampant, testing so minimal, it's impossible to know how many guys were actually juicing. A lot of players put up Hall of Fame caliber numbers during that time. Some definitely using, others were suspected of it, but it was never proven. So I don't think you can shut out that entire era, because if you do, the history of the game would be incomplete. And with that said, though, there's a much better testing system in place now. It's a new chapter in history. That draws a line in the sand. So if you get caught now, I think you should be eliminated from Hall of Fame contention.
Ooh, all right, jury. Levi Vanderwhite, what do you think?
I gotta go with the democracy argument. Just let the people who are voting choose who's in it. And Brian, it's gonna go to you.
Ooh, Max.
I agree. Leave him on the ballot. It was, I mean, you kind of said the same thing. It was part of the game, but Brian, you win.
Alex, friendship, vote anyways.
Well, I mean, you know, I could say Jay just to even it out. I do think Brian made a good point, though, appealing to the fact that voters have the say. Shawn with the sweep on this one.
All right, Shawn is up 2-1. Okay, this is more of a happy question, but what is the greatest individual record in sports, Jay?
Well, I got a soft spot for this guy. I got to go Cal Ripken Jr.'s consecutive game streak, 2,632 games. That broke Lou Gehrig's record of 2,130 that had stood for 56 years. Put that in perspective, that's 16-plus full MLB seasons where he did not miss a game. And Ripken wasn't just some average player. The streak made up the lion's share of his Hall of Fame career. He was a .276 hitter, 400-plus home runs, over 1,600 RBI, 2-time MVP, 2-time Gold Glove winner. Longest active streak since then, 1,152 games. That should show you just how impressive it is.
Lots of numbers. Shawn.
Impressive run, but I'm going to go with Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hit streak. He is the only player to ever get to 50-plus. The next closest is Pete Rose with 44, maybe considered the best pure hitter of all time in 1978. The guy that's second played in the late 1890s. That just tells you how significant this record is that has stood forever. I mean, ever since he did it, it's not going to be touched. In the modern era, the next closest is like Luis Castillo back in 2002, and the last 20 years went to 35 games. It is remarkable to get a hit in 56 straight games, especially with the amount of pitchers that are pitching around you.
There's no way Ripken's streak is ever broken either, because guys take days off just to take days off. Now, they didn't do that in his day, and that's what makes this one stand so far above everything else. That's incredible. 16 straight years.
Ooh, I'm glad I'm not judging this. So, to the jury, Max Jensen.
Joe DiMaggio's hit streak, like Brian said, I don't think it'll ever be touched. So I vote Brian.
They were both great records, but I gotta go with Jay. Just to play that many games in a row without taking a sick day,
Sick day?
But yeah, Jay got this one.
Alex, a lot of pressure.
I think they both made great arguments. And this is really a coin flip type of a question, no matter who you ask around sports. I just think that the longevity shown by Cal Ripken Jr. is something that's really special in a special era. And I think Jay made that point well. So I'm going to go with Jay Elsen.
I was a vote away. I was a vote away from sewing this thing up.
My
So
goodness,
close.
my eyes are watery, and this is okay. All right, question number 5, you guys. All the marbles, everything going into this one. Oh, my
Game
goodness.
7. Yeah.
All right. What was the greatest turnaround in sports history? Shawn.
For me, from season to season, it goes to the Boston Red Sox. They had the worst record in franchise history in 2012 since 1965, winning 65 games. They fire their manager. They bring in a bunch of veterans that really weren't considered great players, more just role players. They hire a new manager, and all of a sudden they balloon up to 95-plus wins, and they go on to win the franchise's first World Series in like forever. And everybody thought the Red Sox were cursed. It was a magical run by Boston, and for them to turn around going from worst to first the way they did it, with a bunch of really no-name guys, is what stands out to me, is what makes them the best turnaround in sports history.
Ooh, Jay.
It's a great run, and I'm glad you said no-name guys, because I got one for you right here, Brian. St. Louis Rams. They finished 4-12 in 1998. Starting quarterback Trent Green then tears his ACL during the preseason 1999. Oh my gosh, things are going to go from bad to worse, but hold on, folks. Enter Kurt Warner, the former Arena League quarterback, grocery store clerk out of the University of Northern Iowa. And as it turned out, that was the beginning of the greatest show on turf. Warner went on to be named the NFL MVP that year, led the Rams to Super Bowl 34 championship. By the way, he was MVP of that too.
Oh my goodness! All
And
right.
let's not forget the Red Sox were down 3-0 to the New York Yankees in the ALCS that year, won 4 straight games, first time that's ever been done in the postseason in the ALCS, and then went on to beat the Cardinals.
Look at how many people have bounced back from those deficits that are supposed to be insurmountable since then. It's not a novelty anymore.
All right, they have given us their best. This is in the hands of the judges. Levi, what do you think?
They were both great arguments, but I'm going to have to go with Jay, even though the Rams did beat my Titans by 1 yard.
Sorry about that,
my.
Levi, but a very wise choice. Good choice.
Yeah.
All right, Max.
As hard as this is for me to do, I vote Brian. I think just the way that they did it and were able to come back, we'll go with the Red Sox.
Alex Heinert, all the pressure in the world is on you.
I have a question for Brian Shawn. What were those dates again, Brian, of the Red Sox World Series?
2012 worst to 2013 best.
And the thing is that that's incorrect. I'm going to fact check you on that. Because even though you're right that they won, they were from worst to first in 2012 to 2013. They broke their 86-year curse in 2004 when they had lost the season before in the ALCS in Game 7 and then came back and beat the Yankees 3-0.
That is accurate.
So-
2004, they did break the curse.
So there you go. So there's, I mean, not by technicality, but I apologize. Jay Elsen, and that's our final verdict here. Congratulations to you both on a fine debate. Give that man some champagne. Congratulations.
You guys clearly understand argumentation.
Confetti. All right, pop the champagne, everyone. Not in the studio. There's too many electronics. But Jay Elsen is the winner. It's been an exciting season.
I got the cubicle set up back there.
Okay, up at
All the tarps and whatnot.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break from it for now, but don't you worry. Everyone's favorite sports debate will be back in the near future. Congratulations, Jay Elsen. Shawn, great season.
It was a great
Thank
season. Good job. Good run, Bri.
All right, coming up after the break, we'll preview tonight's live women's basketball game, Cal Poly at NDSU, and take a look at this weekend's live broadcast schedule. Stay tuned.